I'm wondering if you ever do more than you are required to do. Do you ever do more than you are required? Take on another role that nobody's asked you to take in order to get noticed. Maybe in order to get promoted, or maybe in order to get attention from someone, or in order to feel worth it. Doing more in order to feel like you belong on the team. It leads to getting more work for yourself, which leads to more anxiety, more fear. Is the extra even enough? Do I need to do more? Us humans are great at taking a gift and turning it into a burden. Taking a gift, turning it into a burden. More is not better. Better is better. We take the wrong role. We give ourselves more work to feel important, better, worthy. We are hard on ourselves because we take an outsized role that nobody asked us to take. In the Gospel of John, Jesus reveals the outsized role he and his Father play in our lives and our salvation. They are the actors. They are the active ones. We are passive recipients of their goodness, of their worth. And there is comfort in abiding in that truth, of not having to put yourself back up on the stage. Jesus said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser," an image of the vineyard. "Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. Every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches." You ever heard the joke of how we know that Jesus is divine? He said it. "I am the vine, you are the branches." Oh, good stuff. So, Jesus is explaining, God is the vine dresser. God is the one really in charge. Jesus is the true vine. We are just the branches. We are just put on as a part of this whole thing to produce fruit because of the vine dresser, the vine, what Jesus has done. We are already clean, as he says. And the fruit comes by abiding, being part of Jesus and God the Father. That's how it happens. But this image is important because in the Old Testament, the vineyard was an image. The vine, Isaiah talked about this, the vine was Israel. The people of Israel were supposed to be the vine. The people of Israel were supposed to be the vine, the branches produce fruit. But they didn't. And so Jesus came. And now Jesus is taking the place of Israel. And as it goes on in the New Testament, Jesus is taking our place. In this new covenant, Jesus takes the other side of the table with God. It's between God and his Father, Jesus. In the temple in Jerusalem, there was an image of a gold vine around the temple, painted outside the temple. That was Israel. And Jesus says, "I'm taking that place for you. I am the vine." Jesus is stepping in where Israel, humanity, failed. His Father in heaven is the vine grower, pruning what needs to be pruned, taking care of business so that fruit can grow. And we are merely branches attached to the glory of it all. It's meant to be a comforting image, alluring. We've been moved from the stage to the audience. And thankfully, the whole theater will be saved. But we're still smarting from the downgrade. Even reading this, we're trying to get back on stage. We take this descriptive passage about the role of God the Father, the role of Jesus, how they sustain us, and we make it into our effort, our energy, our anxiety-inducing task list. Abide in me, Jesus says. You remember The Big Lebowski? Not a family movie. He says, the dude abides. The dude abides. What does abide mean? Abide means to accept, to act in accordance with something or someone else. In this case, Jesus. Jesus and his Father. To accept, to act in accordance, to receive this truth, to act in accordance with the reality that is before us. But I've often heard in sermons and Bible studies, people then ask when they hear the passage, well, am I abiding? Or the preacher asks, are you abiding today? How do I abide? How do I know I'm abiding? Am I abiding enough? Nonsense. We're already there. If you ask the question if you're abiding, then yes, you are abiding. Jesus says, abide in me, not be me. Abide in me. It reminds us that God and his Son are the protagonists in the story, in the play, on the field. They're the ones. They are the main characters, not us. And yet we try to get back up there. You remember the "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet craze in the 90s? I remember in church, our rector talked about it, and after church, everybody got their own "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet. It was WWJD. Intentioned well, trying to get people to do the right thing, but we're not Jesus. We can't do what Jesus did. We can't turn water into wine. We don't have his wisdom. We can't raise the dead, heal the sick. We are not Jesus. But when you do try to be like Jesus, you feel condemned. You fail. Or you have to be blind to your failures. He wants us to trust in him, not be him. It doesn't work, and it's not comforting. We take the wrong role. We're not the lead. We're not even the supporting cast. We tried that already. Jesus takes your place. But we always do this in the world. Do things to make us feel more important, to feel like we belong. We're insecure, and we look to do more things to make us feel secure. Often hear clergy doing this as well, talking a lot about who they prayed for, what they did in their quiet times, what they're reading, what they're giving up for Lent, what prayers they said, Instagramming their spirituality. Are we trying to prove something? We don't have to. But we fear, in the absence of our effort, it must not be real. So what is the fear behind us? What is the insecurity, the blindness in you that needs to be uncovered, healed, instead of buried in extra work to prove yourself? Because we all know there's never enough work to be done. Certainly not enough to bring you comfort. We don't have to worry. The vine will not die. The church will not die. There's so much anxiety about the church and the culture, but we forget that God is in charge, not us. We have to remember that. We merely pass on the message to others. John doesn't say, be Jesus. He says, abide in Jesus. We get to rejoice in what God is doing. Abide is invitational. It's not a threat. It's not a slippery slope that we may fall away at any moment. It's a very stressful way to look at it. Abiding is not something you need to do. It's a passive verb in Greek. It's what you are the moment you're baptized, the moment you believe. Jesus said in today's passage, already you are clean. You are clean now. There is no kind of abiding, sort of abiding. I think if Jesus didn't say, abide in me, and said, rest in me, then we'd be like, well, I'm going to rest so hard for the Lord. Wait, am I resting enough? We take the gift and we turn it into a burden. It's meant to comfort, to keep God where God belongs, Jesus where Jesus belongs, and us where we belong. It's a reminder that we need all of Jesus for us. Remember the Pharisees, the Sadducees that Jesus was against. He wants them and us to know we need him. We can't go it alone. We can't have 50% God, 50% us. We have to have all of Jesus to save all of us. Accept the gift, Jesus says, and then act in accordance with that truth. Apart from me, you can do nothing. The branches don't have to hold on to the vine. They're connected. Jesus is arguing against self-salvation and for abiding, for letting God be God. Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. After trusting in him, reminded that you do abide in him, then the fruit comes. Then the fruit comes, the good works, the love. Like a stubborn citrus tree. Fertilizer, sun, water, waiting, months, soil. Eventually, the fruit comes. But even if it doesn't produce fruit, it's still a fruit tree. At the end, after all the conditions are met, after the abiding, resting, and trusting, the fruit can come. God is not interested in our extra credit work. He's not interested in us pulling above our weight. He's interested in us trusting him, giving up and giving in to him. And he will take care of it. So come to the vine, rest, abide in him. For his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Amen.